Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Kowalczyk here with another video for Business Math. Today we are in Chapter 17, Section 1. And what we're talking about is product testing and opinion surveys. A lot of times businesses want feedback from their customers. And when they try and get that feedback, they try and do a variety of things. They try and use product tests where they have people try out a new product just to see if they like it or not. Right now, it just so happens that Taco Bell, just after the Super Bowl, introduced a new item on their menu called the Quesalupa. Well, before they introduced that to the world and to their menu, they had people test it out. And if it doesn't test out well, it probably is not going to be on Taco Bell's menu. But if it does a good job with the customers that are trying it out and seeing if they like it or not, and if it does really well there, then they'll probably put it on their menu. One of the ways that they get feedback from a product test is they actually give those people an opinion survey where they fill out that survey just asking the people to judge whether they liked that product or not. Sometimes companies do it based on service. A big corporation like Walt Disney might have people fill out opinion surveys about one of their theme parks, just checking to see if people like their theme park or not. Whether it was great, whether it was just satisfactory, or whether it stunk. And then they use that feedback from the opinion survey to possibly make changes and enhance the experience for their customers. Businesses do this type of thing all the time. They might ask you to call and fill out a survey, or go online and fill out a survey, and they'll give you a $2 coupon off their next visit. I know Taco Bell's actually kind of famous for doing something like that. Well, today we're going to look at an example where a company called Colder Heating and Cooling does a survey just to get the opinion of their customers. You see, what they're looking for is how people thought their business went. How they felt their service was. So what we're going to be trying to calculate is something known as the percent of a particular response. And as you can see here in green, we're dividing. So enough talk from me. Let's get right into the problem. So, Colder Heating and Cooling specializes in installing heating and cooling units into people's homes. They surveyed people to see how well they liked their recent services and installations. There was a total of 42 people who responded. The people surveyed were asked to choose one of the following answers. The first one was that they thought the service was great. And 11 of them thought the service was great. 23 of them thought the service was just satisfactory. It wasn't great, but it was solid. And then there were 8 people, that's right, 8 people that thought the service kind of stunk. So we've got to use this info. We've got to use these people's responses to answer the following questions. All right? And when we are doing this, we have to show each answer, and I hope you're seeing this, we have to show each answer with one decimal spot. Make sure you always do that for these problems on this assignment, okay? And you're going to have to use that formula from up above and all the data that we've underlined to answer these questions. So, let's go down here to letter A. What percent responded that service was great? Well, there's a few things that we're going to have to do here. First off, we've got to use that formula up above. So, in that formula, it asks, what was the number of times a particular response occurred? And the particular response that we're looking for is that service was great. So how many times did people say that service was great? Well, they said it 11 times. 11 times. So 11 people thought service was great. And what we're going to do is we're going to divide that. We're going to divide that by the total number of people. And that is what we're going to get from our red line right here, which is 42. So we take out our handy-dandy calculator. And we divide. 11 divided by 42. And what we get is 0.261904. We get this big old long number. Now, folks, that's great. That's a decimal. I get that that looks good. But here's the thing. We're not looking for a decimal. What we're looking for is a percentage. So we need to take this decimal number and convert it to a percentage. Now, we're used to taking percentages and turning them into decimals. Now we've got to go backwards. So what that means is that we're going to take this decimal and move it over to the right 2 times. And don't forget that we want it with 1 decimal spot. 1 decimal spot. All right? So what we get then is it turns into 26.2%. And that is our final answer for letter A. Now we go ahead and we do the exact same thing for B. B is asking what percent responded that service was satisfactory. That service was satisfactory. Well, we go to our purple underline and we see that it's 23. Once again, we divide it by 42. Hopefully you see this pattern of using the number 42 for all of these problems. So we take 23 and divide it by 42. This time we get another decimal number. Now, as a reminder, we've got to take that decimal, move it over twice. Okay, move it over twice, and then we get our new percentage. Once again, showing that percentage with 1 decimal place. So, our answer for B is 54.8%. Let's just go ahead. I think you probably have figured it out by now what to do for letter C, but let's just go ahead and do it. We're going to take 8 dissatisfactory people, 8 people that didn't like the service. We're going to divide it by 42. We'll get another decimal number. And we'll have to move it over 2 spots so it becomes 19. And I know this might look weird, but this is super important to see that it becomes 19.0%. I know that you're looking at it and going, well, it's a 0. Who cares? Well, I understand that you're looking at that and saying that, but the key here is that we're trying to have 1 decimal spot. And so even though it's a 0, you need to show the 0 so that it's 1 decimal spot. Because once again, we move the decimal over twice. Okay. So there we go, 19.0%. Got to type it out right. So there we go. A little fun fact here, if you want to check your work, if you want to be sure that you're doing your math correctly, what you can do is add up all of these numbers. If you add up all of these numbers, it should come out to being 100.0%. That's just a nice little quick way of checking your math just to be sure that you're doing everything correct. Once again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to talk to Mr. K or go back and review this video. Thanks so much and have a great afternoon.